My name is Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and I'm the convener for this presentation. The title of our presentation is Methodologies and Strategies for Sustainable Mental Health,
Recording in progress.
Mind-body approach. Again, my name is Peter Bloomfield, and I'm an emergency physician. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work in academia, and I work in the community as an emergency physician, and I'm also here representing KAILASA Nityananda Hindu University. And we're very excited to give this presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have by Dr. Muktananda, who's an AI expert, is going to give an intro to mental health. Followed by that, I'm going to be giving a talk on studies that have been done on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pandov, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing anesthesiologist, who's connected with Nityananda Meditation Academy, are going to be giving a talk on neuroscientific approach to mental health, and then a discussion about some lifestyle aspects that support positive mental health and higher consciousness. Then we're going to have another experience of pranayama, like a breathing. Dr. Patel, who's a psychiatrist who's representing KAILASA Los Angeles and also practicing in the community, is going to talk about mental health and children's issues. And then finally, I'll give a conclusion and a call to action. And for everyone who is able to stay, we're going to have a kriya, which is a technique for stress reduction. That'll be really nice. So it should be a very enriching and enlightening experience for everyone. And we're very happy to have you here. For organizing this and for having us here. Just a couple estimates, 2.5 to 5 trillion US dollars annual cost of mental health. That's looking at direct costs of clinical care and hospitalization, as well as indirect costs of lost work. And I'm going to posit that the cost of less than optimal mental health is so much higher in terms of lost potential.
Mental health webpage. Essentially, mental health is a state of well-being where we are able to cope with life's daily challenges, have great relationships on a daily, regular basis, learn to work well, have a successful career. And one aspect of mental health that is very often neglected is realize our full potential. Of course, all of these are super critical, super important, and we tend to focus on coping with daily challenges and relationships more often than not when it comes to mental health, because that's what happens on a regular basis. But in 2019, WHO predicts that half of everyone in the world at some point before they reach the age of 75 will experience mental health issues. And that is a huge number, right? That goes into the billions. And those in poverty are 2.5 times more likely to be affected compared to others. And this really says that mental health needs to start from, needs to address everybody. And it affects the disadvantaged. What this session is about. I think the traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should will unleash the happiness within us. Next slide, please. I just wanted to go through some definitions. You may hear these words through some presentations, and I wanted to define them ahead of time. Like incompletions are any past memory, thoughts, and emotions that restrict our spontaneity in the current moment
and limit our actions in our beliefs. Many of us tend to grow up with very limited view of ourselves, not due to our own faults. It's because the world, imagine in a school, a teacher evaluates students. They only have a single way of evaluating students based on their own rubric. If a student doesn't fit into that rubric, then the student is graded low, and then the student grows up thinking that they don't have great potential, although they may be extraordinary in doing certain things that no one else can, right? That is what I mean by growing up with beliefs that are self-limiting. Delve into the mind-body studies.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muktananda. So again, my section is titled Qualitative and Quantitative Studies of a Mind-Body Approach to Mental Health. And we love your questions and welcome them. Please feel free to put them. We're also, time is moving quickly, so we're gonna have to move fast. We have a lot to cover. So this presentation is brought to you by Nityananda Hindu University. I'm representing the research department of Nityananda Hindu University. And this is a university that is styled after the ancient Vedic, ancient Hindu universities from antiquity. Fields of psychology, philosophy, medicine, sociology. Of course, mental health is covered very widely through this university. And from that space, he has reestablished the United States of KAILASA, which is a Hindu civilizational nation in service to Hinduism. It also has sovereign land as a sovereign state, also functions as a civilizational state and a service-based state, contributing to the communities around, and as a foundational enlightenment ecosystem for all the people that are living there. He's also revived many dimensions of Hinduism, the powers of Paramashiva, the scriptures, temple rituals and lifestyles for enlightened living, an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So some of the research is done with him, and I'll be describing him that way there. So briefly, so mind-body. So treating mental health through the mind is very challenging in that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully enhance brain and consciousness of Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, who I also call as Swamiji, as well as some of his disciples, and some really remarkable findings that help explain how we've been able to create these profound cellular, physiological, and mental health effects. And then lastly, we're going to talk about some lifestyle strategies that are aligned with, for individuals out there who may be watching for the masses, that can move towards the space of enhanced mental health. The ones I'm going to highlight here are the pro-inflammatory pathways, which create inflammation in the system, which will, at the cellular level, be inflammation, but at the system-wide level will show up as stress and disease. Many of these pro-inflammatory pathways were down-regulated. And when I say down-regulated, it means like 2 to 7-fold in reduction of the proteins, of the gene products. And then the anti-inflammatory pathways that reduce stress and reduce inflammation were up-regulated, again, 2 to 7-fold. And then there were 2 specific pathways that they noted. One is an anti-aging pathway called GATA2 and BM1 that was up-regulated, which shows up in a follow-up, like the aging system of the cells at the DNA level. When the telomeres in the chromosomes in the DNA get short, then the cell can no longer reproduce and becomes senescent or becomes no longer effective. So maintaining the telomeres long is a job of telomerase. So people who did this program, their levels at the end versus the beginning were pretty universally elevated. About half of them, it was double, and about a quarter of them, almost a third, were triple. So a huge increase in telomerase activity, which we would expect to keep them young at a cellular level. Combine that with anti-aging, rejuvenation, and then reduction in stress. Now we looked at how does that show up at the level of the person's mental health. So this was a study that was done a couple years ago, and it's being put into manuscript right now. There was another mind-body therapeutic program. This was called Paramashivoham, and we'll show you at the end. It is available online. But again, it's completely organized and run and attended by our Swamiji, and done through teleconferencing, just much like how this meeting is going right now. So we looked at 4 different scales associated with mental health. One is the DASS, which stands for Depression, Anxiety, Stress Scale. One is WHO-5, which looks at overall sense of well-being. One is SF-36, which looks at overall physical health and some aspects of mental health as well. And the last is MAAS, which for the depression score, anything above 10 means depression. 5.7 is the average. For this, the post scores were 2.7, so much lower than average and very far. And then we looked at anxiety. Above 8 is considered as an anxious person. The average in the US is around 6, so almost anxious. Improvement in people's feeling of mental health in connection with this program. The next, we looked at the WHO-5 Wellbeing Index. So this goes from 0 to 100, where a higher score is a higher sense of well-being. Less than 50 is going to correlate with depression from participating in this program, and both statistically significant and clinically significant. The SF-36, this is a very complex scale. It gives 9 total scores around physical and mental health. Again, the higher is better. We did just a paired analysis for this, and all of them were improved. 5 out of the 9 met statistical significance, and they were also clinically significant. I just included a couple graphs here. The total score, you can see it's good. So then the question becomes, what are these programs? What is special about these programs that's bringing these really remarkable changes at the cellular level? Particularly the mitochondrial assay, you'll never see anything like that. And all the other changes, the stem cells, the telomerase activity, the gene expression, and then these changes in mental health. So to better understand that, a lot of science has been done with Swamiji, the Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramahansa. So I'm going to talk about a few scientific studies. First, Orchida from Sound Health Designs in Wichita, and this was in 2005 and 2006. And they measured studied a variable called heart rate variability, which shows variability within the heart rate that reflects the autonomic system and how at ease someone is. You could say it's very complex. We don't have time to go into it further. But the key finding is when he electrically, there was very little activity, which we will posit will correlate with a low thoughts per second, very little mental activity. So he could completely kind of shut off the mind, and it would show up at the EEG level. That shocked the researcher. And then when he would go into meditation, there would be a huge surge in gamma waves, which we'll talk about shortly, the significance of gamma waves. But the key part is when he was healing, that's a goal of Vedic traditions, yogic traditions, Hinduism, and they transmit it to someone they're healing or a disciple or any other person, be like an initiation. It's putting them in the same brainwave state that's going to have profound effects on their well-being, like the things that we demonstrated earlier. So he was able to transmit it to people he was healing. Some quotes that said he is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well. He puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves, which is a very specific kind of gamma wave that's almost never seen. So real quick primer on brainwaves. Brainwaves is the measurement of the electrical activity in the brain through an EEG, which is like an EKG for the brain, electroencephalogram. You can see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude, up and down, high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer can calculate them. And they've been shown traditionally in everyone's brain a little bit. When people have a stroke of insight, like the light bulb goes off, there'll be a little flash of gamma activity, but just for a second, and only when that insight strikes, which you can't bank on, right? It's like so if we're looking at Alzheimer's prevention, which is a huge global issue, gamma waves, I think, are definitely something to look at, and they're currently working on devices using sound and light to sort of reverse engineer that state. We would posit that it can also be created through spiritual activities and mind-body interventions. The last group I'll talk about is long-term meditators. These were Tibetan Buddhists that have been meditating for 10 to 20 years, like their whole lifestyle was meditation. Like monks that would meditate for 6 hours a day, or a huge amount of meditation. This came out in 2004 by Dr. Davidson in Wisconsin, a really breakthrough publication. When it be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of an EEG of a very high level disciple of Swamiji, and you can see Gamma activity is over 30 oscillations between these two lines is 1 second. You can see the whole brain is in gamma. And this person can go on and off at will at any time. While they're talking, while they're doing anything, they can just do it at will. They describe intense bliss associated with that, intense oneness. I've also seen another some lifestyle things. I'm not going to go in detail because I'm over time already. But mind-body consciousness approaches can create this possibility of really powerfully enhanced mental health and intense states of bliss and higher consciousness. The yogic science, basically, you'll develop good mental health on the road to enlightenment is how the yogic science works. Lifestyle, sattvic diet, and fasting. Later, another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs.
A little video about a meditation that can help you get to that state and calm your mind down. Like very often, we are all filled with anxiety. And this meditation personally has helped me calm myself down in a moment of stress or anxiety.
It should be audible now.
Nothing can be compared to the unclutching. Just unclutch. And I tell you, it will develop such powerful will persistence in you. Such powerful will persistence way. Highly matured way. Sit with yourself with highest maturity. Clutch from all thought process. Just sit, be unclutched.
Yeah. One thing I want to say, we're going to then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially, you can use the word unclutch, and but after a little while, you can just unclutch without using that word. So you would see that. So just close your eyes. We're going to play music for a little bit, and then just keep unclutching. Every time a thought comes, no.
How about now? How about now?
Awesome. One of the things that you would have noticed is while you're unclutching is your mind gets disengaged. As your mind gets disengaged from thoughts, we tend to listen to the outside sounds more clearly, like bell chiming or people talking, cars going by. That's a positive sign. But understand that even those are thoughts. And next time you try this, unclutch from those also. And when you start unclutching from those thoughts, you will start listening to more of your inner sound, like your breathing becomes more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you.
So next slide. Plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle can make a huge impact, and it can reduce the costs associated with current treatment model based on medications, therapy, which is expensive, medications have side effects. And so we can go on to the next slide. Social attachments. It turns out pain processing pathways are negatively impacting depression, and one way is maybe the cingulate cortex. And even our ability to empathize with others are affected due to loss of brain cells in the cingulate cortex. Also, depression negatively impacts the basal ganglia, which is a part of the brain involved in pathways for reward motive are gone. But it turns out certain practices, especially yoga and meditation, can actually lead to neurogenesis. We're actually generating new brain cells, and this can happen throughout the lifespan. So this in itself is like very groundbreaking information. And it turns out to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that, and these are enhanced with increased amount of brain cells in yoga practitioners. Very interestingly, there's an area of the brain called amygdala, and this is involved in processing fear pathways. This is sometimes called it's a important part of our very primitive brain attention, and controlling the autonomic nervous system, such as the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex, parietal cortex, hippocampus, temporal lobe, anterior cingulate striatum. These are also involved in emotional processing, some of these areas. Very interesting. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons. And it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision-making, learning, and memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within and our environment, and as well as having self-awareness about fear and anxiety, which is important for helping us to have a sense of well-being. And this level is reduced in people who are depressed. But meditators at baseline have a higher level of serotonin. And it, in fact, further increases after a meditation session, which is very interesting. They also tend to have a lower level of norepinephrine. This is a brain chemical associated with anxiety. And they've been shown to have increased amounts of dopamine as well after. And looked at a brain chemical called GABA, which is very important for regulating our mood and reducing anxiety. And they showed there was a significant improvement in the amount of anxiety and depression that they were experiencing before and after, to the point that many were no longer depressed. And the GABA activity was boosted basically to the same level as people who were healthy and who did not have depression.
Affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in a best possible way? So, the whole food plant-based diet, which is called sattvic diet, which basically comprises of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, and least amount of unprocessed food and meat, is caused by whole food plant-based diet. Next slide. This just goes over a few things. Microbiome in the gut plays an important role in the gut-brain axis, as I talked about, and it produces neurotransmitters like serotonin, dopamine, glutamate, and microbial composition is crucial. Some contribute to good mental health and others are detrimental, and it names few of the bacteria. And also it has positive impact by regulating taurine. Foods reduce inflammation and carcinogens, as I was telling you. People who ate raw fruits and vegetables versus cooked or canned fruits and vegetables had significantly improved mood. And as I talked about, processed and packaged food are harmful.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pandav.
Actually,
Thank you.
plants are also life node, a muscle memory, biomemory recorded in it that becomes part of you. You become prone to that pain.
Reviving and promoting, and he's unique in promoting some of these lifestyles, such as Niraharsamima, and the importance of certain herbs or aushadas for detoxification of the body and in further enhancing health. So we're getting beyond just preventing disease. We're actually, these can help us to live our optimal health. In other words, reaching our full potential, mind, body, and consciousness. So I'd just like to open up the discussion.
Energy level up, and it has effects at physical plane, mental plane, emotional plane, spiritual plane. That's what I found. So the least is, you lose weight, and but other than that, so emotionally you feel much better, you feel much lighter, your energy level goes through the roof, and the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly to a deep level, in the sense that you're not doing meditation, it is kind of happening to you. So it's a different state to be in, and I found this to be amazingly powerful technique. I think, Dr. Shanti, you may have also got
Day or two, it actually was not difficult to sustain. And definitely the mind was quieter. People around me noticed. I mean, even your skin will start to glow. You'll even appear younger. People would comment on that, wonder what I was doing. And so I definitely also experienced those.
Every summer, allergic reactions. When I go to the garden, even the lawn, I'm really very bad allergy. So I had to take antihistamine all the time. And it actually affected my work style as well. So it was, I think, 12 years ago, Swamiji introduced the Niraharsamaya, 12, 13 years ago. The first time I did the Niraharsamaya, after that, it's completely gone. I don't take any antihistamines. I'm completely
Has recommended for us. And then Nitya Yoga is a yoga that conceived by Swamiji that has 12 components, 12 aspects of yoga, which is very unique. And of course, other yogas are also part of this lifestyle. And so thank you so much, you guys, for this discussion. We could discuss so much longer. We've met some time constraints. So we're going to move on to the next session, which is a pranayama.
So simple technique is called Shitali Pranayama, and references are given here. These are all scriptural references. You can search for them online. You can actually find them. Shitali Pranayama is a technique to really cool down and de-stress. So it's a very easy technique. Sit up straight and roll your tongue. The deeper you do the inhalation, the deeper the cooling happens. And you will actually feel it in your chest, in the middle of your chest. If you don't feel it, like getting in a little bit more deeper. Continue doing this. It's very simple. It's breathing in through one nostril and breathing out through the other nostril. So you start off by holding your thumb, pressing your right nostril with your thumb, and then breathing in through only your left nostril. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out like till the count of 6 or 7. That's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. When you do that, hum as long as possible. When you're doing this for a more intense hum, you can actually close your ears also. Like put your fingers on your earlobes and close them. And that will intensify the hum because the sound hums inside your head. And very soon your entire head, your chest, your body will start humming along with you like this. How many of you could feel the humming reverberate inside your head even after the humming, you stop humming? Right? You would feel that humming inside your face and in your chest. So the more you practice it, if you do it for like 21 minutes, this humming is a very intense exercise. Great. So these are things you can practice pretty much anywhere. And these are all revived by Swamiji. Swamiji has taken all these ancient techniques and then put them in modern, and most recently I've applied AI to education. And AI is an amazing area which is useful in mental health. Next slide. And the key challenge here is scale. Like sustainable mental health requires scale, and millions need help with anxiety, loneliness, and depression. But the primary challenge is lack of access to resources. And it's like the people who are in poverty, the people who really who suffer more often from mental health issues, that like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access. It can be very conversational in asking questions and getting answers, and it can be very personal. It can be personalized without storing personal information. And if you have availability, like access to a phone, a smartphone, you probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example. And the beautiful thing is conversational AI can actually help address a wide variety of mental health needs. I want to say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. We still need people. And we need AI to, especially the teachings of Swamiji. Swamiji is essentially teaching the fundamentals of enlightenment science, or the science of happiness, as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access to his teachings and the science of happiness and the science of enlightenment as taught by Hinduism. And it can answer questions from that perspective. So with that, let me show you a screenshot. I didn't have time to go through extensive demo because it can take time. But here I'm going to show you a demo. This is like a video that I captured on my real demo. I captured spending time at work and not being able to come home. It talks about how being a bad mother or bad wife only arises from separation between these two responsibilities, and understanding that these two are both parts of you. And if you understand it from that wholeness perspective, you can actually handle the situation in a much better way. So it's a very powerful message that it helps you understand that you are a whole and you can't divide yourself into different personalities. So play again, press play again, please. And the final example is about about facing stress and suggesting yoga and meditation techniques. If you can fast forward this, maybe 10 more seconds.
Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Prima Kuthanaraman, OBGYN urogynecologist and a pelvic surgeon from Los Angeles. We have been enjoying last more than an hour of learning so much about mental health, wellness, and holistic approaches. It's my turn to talk about women's mental health issues, incident causes, solutions, and understanding the unique challenges and holistic approaches. The National Institute of Mental Health here shows reproductive health issues like polycystic ovary, endometriosis, infertility can lead to stress, anxiety, and depression. Gender-based violence, women are more likely to experience domestic violence, sexual assault, and emotional abuse. social pressures and roles women often face becomes a vicious cycle. So when we look at the modern day approaches for treatment, it can be varying from psychotherapy to hospitalization, depending on the severity of the mental illness and medication, but the end results are not permanent cure, and it doesn't address the mental disorders, and usually it's only the symptom relief. The $1 trillion brain drain, that's not sufficiently addressing the mental disorders. And the other treatments like brain stimulation can be used in special situations where transcranial magnetic stimulation can be used for depression. Chapter 3 and verse 56. It's the law of Manu, the oldest legal text, Hindu jurisprudence, says where women are worshipped, there the gods rejoice to the welfare of humanity. On the other hand, where they are not honored, all rights are futile. Hindu wisdom, reviving the ancient Hindu wisdom and creating a KAILASA with various projects empowering women. Let's look at details about each level, how this empowering happening at the KAILASA. These policies are mapped to the Manuvati Dharma Shastra, and Swamiji revived matrilineal society to empower women here. So the political empowerment, Paramashiva declares in Atharva Veda, women should take part in provided and along with spiritual and psychological support and counseling to all women. So over $10 billion have been invested in women's health at KAILASA. This is very impressive, and again, a spiritual wellness, core indigenous cultural aspect of Hinduism is being revived as part of KAILASA by Swamiji, is the ordains women and allows women to perform temple rituals. This is the real true reviving of the ancient Hindu tradition. So there are 108 free educational economic projects are functioning at KAILASA since 2009. Here are some 5, the most important I'm mentioning here. The KAILASA's Nityananda Lakshmi, the world's first Hindu microfinance project for women. Here it gives the economic freedom. The next slide.
Only feminine.
Yeah, I think it's a video to be played. Let's hear from Swamiji, his powerful message and a description of a woman by him.
Unfortunately, see, if it was handed over to women, it would have been completely family-based civilization. So naturally, everybody would have had their basic needs.
So in summary on women's mental health, yes, women do face unique challenges. It's to be approached at multi-dimensional level. And KAILASA is a model infrastructure, not only empowering women at all, bringing the best within them, like leadership, stability, powerfulness, and divinity. And from my personal empowerment of women, we do like get powerful life, whatever you are, like wherever you are, to lead a very powerful, healthy life. So for all women, mothers, homemakers, anyone, everyone, get empowered with KAILASA ecosystem created by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Paramahamsa Nityananda. And it's a great coincidence that Navaratri festival is coming. It's an annual Hindu festival. We celebrate Divine Mother energy for 9 nights. And I do pray to Ma Parashakti and Divine Mother energy to bless all women all over the world with excellent health and bliss, and bless me with the wisdom and energy to serve women always. And Swamiji to bless every woman all over the world. And here, the science of completion, it's one of the solutions for all mental disorders. It's a meditation technique based on the science of enlightenment revealed and taught by His Divine Holiness. And it works, prevent and treat all kinds of mental disorders, not only for women, it's for everyone. It relieves unresolved
Things coming out. and powerlessness. No, this is not for me. First of all, this may not be true. Second, no, this is, even if it is true, not for me. No, this may be true for the people who don't have to work. You will see me in the mirror, then all your patterns are complete. Till you see me in the mirror, do completion with the mirror. Your form will disappear and my form will appear there. Till then, sit in front of her and do completion. Understand? This is the initiation I am giving to all of you. Just sit in front of the mirror and declare simple integrity to me. Start chanting Mahavakya and remember this powerful cognition, today's cognition. Pen down all the incompletions, fears, anger, guilt, impossibility, patterns which tells you no, you need to be dependent internally, externally other than Paramashiva.
Talk about children and mental health issues.
Hello everyone, I'm Dr. Sailesh Patel. I'm a psychiatrist practicing in California. So as adult and women, children also have unique challenges for mental health. And we have the next slide. So I have here some of the peers, exploration of identity and so forth. So can we have next slide? So based on this alarming number, we know that conventional approach have not been enough to address other consciousness-based approaches which were discussed earlier, practiced on a regular basis, including yoga, meditation, and sattvic diet. Swamiji had given details how this Hindu education system promotes freedom to explore and be creative and not force children into strict curriculum, and nor evaluate them educational. Here is the result of whole brain activation studies for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor skills, development, neurological functioning, and level of whole brain activation. This test is divided in two phases. First phase or test measures a variety of capabilities, including comprehension, arithmetic, and visual motor capabilities. And these results showed 50% of students with total English immersion fell into category of genius and very high superior intelligence, IQ score of 120 and above. So it shows very impressive numbers. Next category, intellectual maturity compared to exact to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed for this evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would be a good, sustainable development. Okay, I hand over to next speaker.
Really, if many of their goals would be achieved by adopting this lifestyle. At NHU, the Anishinaabe Hindu University, we aspire to be a world's leader in the study of mental health, of enlightenment, and of superconsciousness. And we very sincerely and formally and informally invite anyone who's interested in researching this possibility, this phenomena that I think is available here in ways it's not been described otherwise. We invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research findings, and all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings. And we're very sure the more research we do, the more we're going to find things like this. So anyone who wants to collaborate, we'd love to talk to you. My email and to stay, we invite you to stay for our kriya, which will be led by Dr. Mukta Ananda. Shall I play the video, Mukta, or do you want to speak first?
Yes. Play the, I think, like I said before, kriya is a combination of yoga positions, yoga asanas, breathing techniques, and visualization. And Swamiji shared 108 kriyas for a variety of diseases and disorders to alleviate, use.
For example, liver, kidney, or heart, intestine, at some part, if there is a disturbance in this energy circulation, that is when you start developing diseases and disorders and disturbances. Disease, disorders, disturbances. Expresses its
water. This water is distributed to different places through the pipelines, which forms a circuit. The pipelines end in outlet taps through which the water reaches the end users. Similarly, the Kundalini energy reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say, for instance, there is a block somewhere in the circuit of pipelines. Then what happens? There is no flow of water. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in Kundalini energy, just as the water gets pumped in to the pipeline once the block is removed. When the energy flow is re-established, energy starts flowing and the disease is healed. Nas, pranayamas, and kumbhakas, wherein they are more effective, and the individual asanas and pranayamas.
even for few seconds, if the energy these kriyas are my unique contributions to the world. The kriyas have 7 ingredients. 1, yoga. 2nd, kumbhaka, pranayama. I work on your body and mind, creating yogic body and Vedic mind. Power, stamina, flexibility, physique, energy. All the 5 put together is yogic body. I am using all the 7 ingredients to create yogic body for you.
Shall I start the music and then you'll announce the kriya?
Yeah, I can just walk everybody through the kriya. It's actually, the kriya has 3 steps. It's a kriya for hypertension, which also relieves. Okay. I think we need to bring that picture. If somebody can add that picture to the slide, to the next slide, that'll be great. So you have to sit in a special posture. It is not very difficult. It is, you sit with your knees drawn to your chest, and then you just put your hands around your knees and hug them and pull them closer. That's it, right? So that way you are sitting. Now we're just going to put them all together into one long kriya meditation. That's super simple. So let's get started. Peter, you can play the music. And let's start by doing Nadi Shodhana, which is close your right nostril, breathe in through your left nostril, and then close your left nostril, breathe out through your right nostril, and then breathe in again through your right and breathe out through the left. This is one cycle. Do this cycle for play the music to Peter. Thanks. Now, lie down. With the intense, you will feel the intense humming, the coolness all over your body. Just lie down. Peter, you can pause the music. Thank you. Great. I hope you all experienced.
Yes, thank you so much, Mukta, for your beautiful job, and thank you to everyone who made it this long. We really appreciate you coming. And again, just a last invitation for people to join the Padma Shiva Home program or contact us at Nityananda Hindu University about